Hello, this is Devlog 2 of my dream game. Last devlog, we did a bunch of groundwork for the actual application, so now let's do some stuff with the game. One quick thing to get out of the way was a sign-up page. So I made one real quick. You can actually access it if you type in the URL at the top, so feel free to make an account or something. So after making an account, I switched back to the client application and started to make the login system. After the user logs in, I save their account information to a file, so every time they start the game, they automatically log in. Now that the player can log into their account, I made two new projects: a server for multiple players to connect to, and a library to share data structures, also known as classes, between the client and server. On the server, I made a socket handler that listens and accepts connections from clients. A socket is like a phone call between the server and one client, where they can both receive and give each other information. The server hosts sockets on a specific port and IP address, which sort of acts as the phone number for the server. Now on the client side, I made a text box where you can input an IP address to connect to. So when the player puts an IP address of a server and presses connect, they should connect to the server. However, this brings up an interesting problem. How do we know the player is who they say they are? After discussing with my friend for a bit, we came up with a key authentication system. It starts with the player sending a request to the database that includes their username and password. The database then checks that information and sends back a special generated key. The client then sends the key to the server, and then the server asks the database if this key is associated with this player. The database checks the key and the username and responds if they both match up with the user. Finally, after all of this, we can actually begin the connection, where we can send game information about the world, the player, and anything else we need. But all of this took a couple of days to put together, so next time we can start rendering the game. See you later.